All right, everybody, it is time to begin. It is GOMTV's brand new tournament, the Arena of Legends, and boy, do we have some legends to watch today. Isn't that right, Wolf?
That's completely right. We've got 4 players from each race. You guys can see them there. NesTea, Lacira, Dongregu, and July are our Zergs. Slayers, Boxer, MVP, MMA, and Marine King are our Terrans. And finally, our Protosses. We've got MC and Trickster, but also 2 Foreigners, Huck and Naniwa, in our Protoss lineup. You can see all of these players have been divided into 4 groups, and in each group we have 1 player from each race.
Yeah, and that's actually so exciting. I love that they actually put even numbers of the races in this tournament.
Yeah,
that is awesome. You're not going to see that pretty much anywhere else. Well, here's our group for today. Group B will be tomorrow, of course, but today we're going to see NesTea, MMA, and OGS MC duke it out. NesTea and MMA are going to play against each other first, and as you can see there, the loser of the first match is going to play against MC, and then the winner will. So it's kind of a round-robin best-of-3. It's going to be a best-of-3 each matchup, so we've got, well, basically 3 best-of-3s is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can see next weekend, remember, guys, this is going to be every Saturday and Sunday at 5 p.m.
Yes.
Korean Standard Time. So next Saturday, we've got Dongregu versus MVP, and of course, Huck is going to be facing off against the winners and losers, being the 3rd player in that group. And on Sunday, July, Boxer, and Naniwa will be facing it off as well.
That's going to be a really cool group, too. Especially, I'm really excited to see July and Boxer play, actually. I love watching those guys play against each other. Yep, and then, of course, after that, we've got the round of 4. Group A first versus Group B first, and Group C first versus Group D first, and then our finals would be on October 2nd at 5 p.m. Korean Standard Time. You know what the only thing better than having GSL all week is, Wolf?
Having it on the weekend.
You're so right. I didn't even need to say it for you. You knew what I was thinking. We're on the same wavelength, man.
Yeah, man. I think everyone's on the same wavelength on that.
I think so. Well, here is one of our players for today, probably the scariest guy in the GSL right now. I'm NesTea. Won GSL 3 times. He's only one of 2 people to do that. He was the first person to do it, and I think he's looking pretty unstoppable today.
Yeah, he's absolutely looking unstoppable today. I gotta say, NesTea is one of the best players in the world, and he's got a good chance of coming out first here. I think he can take out MMA and MC. He's beaten them before. You can see the little results down there. And he is one of the smartest players in the world, if not the smartest.
Yeah, well, here's the interesting thing about this guy right here, Slayers MMA, is he actually did defeat NesTea in the Code S round of 32 last season, but that was just 1 game. That wasn't a best-of situation, so I'm really curious to see how things are going to go in that, best-of-3 situation rather than just, 1 game.
Yeah, MMA might have the best chance of beating NesTea here today. I think he's going to have a much better chance than our next player that we're going to take a look at, who is OGS MC. Yep. This guy is, of course, a 2-time champion. NesTea is a 3-time champion, and MMA is a finalist at the GSL. So all of these guys are really awesome players, but MC recently has been slumping a little bit, so he's going to have to play really hard to come out of this group.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure getting knocked down into Code A was sort of like a bucket of cold water splashed in his face, so hopefully that wakes him up. We'll see some good play today. The game is starting. Let's get inside. All right, guys, AOL is online. I'm sorry, Wolf, I couldn't resist. I had to say it. Down at the bottom of the map, GSL Daybreak is our yellow Terran player from the team Slayers. He is Slayers MMA. And up at the top of the map is our Zerg player in the blue color from the team Incredible Miracle, 3-time GSL champion. He is I'm NesTea. And what a great map to start out on.
Yeah, it's a large map. It's a very balanced map. And it's one of those maps we haven't seen too much of yet. We're starting to see more and more of. It's been out for about a month and a half now, I'd say. And, it wasn't the GSL until very recently. And obviously these guys have had a lot of time to practice on it and play on it now. And it's shown us nothing but good games.
Oh, I would agree. I mean, especially in terms of TVT, probably the best TVTs I've seen yet in the GSL have been on this map. And really, like you said, most games are really good because it's bigger. You don't get as many build order wins because it's kind of hard to rush your opponent's base quite as fast as on some of the other maps.
Yeah, if you want a 2-Rex on this map, for example, you can't make your second barracks inside of your base. It's just not going to be an effective 2-Rex. Pressure build. Now NesTea is going to realize that, of course, he's going for a hatch first here. Very standard opening to see on this map for Zergs. It's a really easy natural to hold, especially if you have your Overlord position checking to make sure no bunkering is going on like NesTea does.
Exactly, yeah. You'll never catch an ST missing where to put any Overlords. Everyone is deliberately placed about, just like diamonds placed in a beautiful crown.
I like that analogy. That's a good analogy.
It's the truth, Wolf.
Well, MMA has taken gas. I think we're going to see a Reactor Hellion expand out of MMA. We could see any number of things, but I'm thinking, based on what we've seen from MMA in the past, I think that's what we're going to see. We might see that Slayer-style Blue Flame Hellion Marine type of drop.
Oh, absolutely.
There are a few good places to do that on this map.
Yeah, that's really popular. Can be really effective. The Slayers players are, of course, the best in the world at it right now. There's the factory right now. So we'll have to see what he has planned a little bit later. He could also be doing something like just a reactor expand as well. I mean, if he only makes the 2 Marines and then does a reactor, then that's obviously what that's going to be.
Yeah.
Not making any. Well, yeah, he is making. No, he's not making any Marines right now. So
yeah, there's no Marines whatsoever.
Yeah, I wonder if we are going to see. He's probably just getting a little bit quicker command center.
Yeah, he's going to make his command center immediately here.
Yep.
There it goes.
Yep, you can skimp on Marines because you're a little bit safer in the early game on this map. So I like those little touches that the really high-level players do.
Exactly.
Most players would just auto-make Marines because they didn't think about it. But on a map like this, yeah, you are actually a little bit safer.
Well, one thing I'd like to note is that MMA didn't scout at all. He just knows that NesTea is going to hatch first on this map. There's no reason to believe otherwise. NesTea, always, it's his style to fast expand on a map like this, and he's so good at holding off all sorts of early pressure builds that he feels so comfortable doing it, and MMA knows that, and so he feels comfortable skipping Marines to get a faster command center. Now, interestingly, we have a tech lab going down on the factory, and it looks like he's going to get Blue Flame right off the bat. There it is. Okay. Blue Flame coming down here very quickly. He's going to use that to control the map, and I'm liking this build very much already from MMA.
Yeah, that's one of the great assets that Terran has is those Blue Flame Hellions in the early game, especially on a bigger map like this, just because they can get around so quickly. Oh, the Zergling almost getting taken out, but it does get away in time. Didn't really see a whole lot, though.
No, he did not. He does see this Hellion, though, which polishes him off. You guys didn't get a shot of it. Roach Warren going up, as well as Zergling Speed, of course. Zergling Speed finishing up very soon here.
Yep.
And MMA still hasn't really gotten a glimpse of anything that's going on in NesTea's base. And NesTea knows this, so I like this Roach Warren move. It's going to be actually really tough for MMA to hold without a bunker.
Well, you know, the funny thing is that on maps like this and a lot of the bigger maps, we've actually seen Zerg players go for like a quick 5 to 7 roaches just to put some pressure on the opponent. And the surprising thing to me is that in the past that was all more defensive in nature, but lately we've been seeing players go offensive with it.
Exactly.
Actually send the roaches across the map.
It can be quite multi-purpose.
Yeah.
Now, like you were saying, we are having 7 roaches coming out here for NesTea.
Yep.
And those roaches are going to be pretty tough to deal with for MMA, especially because he's moving his command center down to the low ground right now. He has a total of 2 Marines right now. He's making 3 at a time because he did add 2 additional barracks. But even so, with the amount of Marines he's going to have out when the roaches hit, it's going to be very difficult to defend this.
Yeah, this is exactly what we see a lot of Zerg players do. We saw Lenok do this recently as well, and it worked pretty well for him too. So yeah, I think NesTea's in a position to do some decent damage to MMA if he doesn't think of something fast. No bunkers or anything going up right now for MMA.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, NesTea actually canceled one of his roaches, so he's going with 6, but he is making 26 Zerglings back in the background. He's actually going to have a total of about 40 Zerglings, and they all, of course, have speed when this hits. And the Hellions of MMA are out in the middle of the map. He's making Banelings as well.
Yeah, that Baneling nest just finished. NesTea.
Oh, these Hellions could get caught in the middle of the map.
And he almost gets to surround MMA, getting away just in time. He's going to kill a lot of Zerglings, but he's going to lose those Hellions as well. Medevac has to pick up the Marines.
MMA's these SCVs being pulled away here.
All right, the Marines trying to defend, but I don't think it's enough, especially with those Banelings coming up the ramp.
Way too many Banelings. The Roaches, though, blocking the Banelings. The Banelings not able to get in and do a lot of damage, and now these Marines might be able to hold with the Hellions doing some extra AoE damage here.
Yeah,
it looks like MMA may just hold this.
That was absolutely great target firing by MMA to take out those Banelings. A little bit of bad luck for MC, or not MC, that's next game. For NesTea, that is. It rhymes, sort of. Getting those Banelings kind of stuck on the ramp like that.
Yeah, that was really bad luck for NesTea.
MMA lucked out there, man.
Absolutely. Now, NesTea has made a ton more Zerglings. He's making 4 more Roaches. He's not ready to stop this all in yet. He's going to try to catch a Hellion, but will not. And actually, he's going to lose a ton of Zerglings here. A huge mistake by NesTea.
Wow. And, you know, NesTea invested a ton into that push. He didn't make drones for a good solid 1.5 to 2 minutes. It's going to take him a little bit to kind of catch up economically. He's putting down a 3rd hatchery right now, and as you can see, just now caught up in workers. So, yeah, he'll be okay, but it definitely does slow him down a little bit.
Well, what MMA's got going for him now is he's got an extremely mobile army. He's got Marines with Stim finishing up. Combat Shields is already on the way. He's got Medivacs out. He's got Hellions to control watchtowers. So he's got a very mobile army, and he's going to have a stronger army than NesTea. And NesTea is going to try to attack again here, and I think this is actually a huge mistake.
Well, it's a little bit risky. I mean, he is warping in some Banelings there. The Marines are going to come out and see that, though. And, yep, looks like NesTea will just cancel those Banelings. Better decision there.
And Marines with Medevac support do quite well against Roaches, and now these Roaches are going to have a hard time escaping because the Hellions are blocking. He will take out some of those Hellions. Nice control by MMA, though, picking them up. And NesTea is actually trading somewhat efficiently here, but he needs to be very careful. He needs to continue droning as he has been doing back at home, and I think the reason why he decided to go for that push was because he realized he made a few too many extra Roaches, and he was like, well, I need to make use of these Roaches.
True. MMA did pick up those Hellions, as we can see. They're pulling back to the base of NesTea. That makes NesTea pull his Roaches back as well. Not really going to be able to drop into that unless he's a sadistic, horrible commander that just wants to see his units die.
Well, fortunately for those Hellions, that is not the mindset of MMA.
Nope, he's not like the Darth Vader Terran. He's not going to, like, off his units that talk back to him or something.
Who is the Darth Vader Terran?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think it might be Ryung, man.
Maybe.
We'll have to come back to this thought.
I think one of the first people I saw drop units into Banelings to get them to detonate was Boxer, so I don't know, maybe. Well, no, he's already the Emperor. He's above the Darth Vader Terran.
He is the Palpatine.
That's right. He's already way up there. He can't go any higher than that. I don't know, man.
Another drop from MMA coming into the main, and this time NesTea is not prepared for it. It actually was able to avoid most of his Overlords. It's just now being spotted, but there are a few Banelings morphing in the main. He should be able to defend this quite easily.
Yeah.
And in fact, MMA decides not to drop.
Well, MMA is one of those players, too, that's pretty relentless with his dropping in mid-game TVZ, so he's not going to give up. I mean, that's the thing about this guy, is somehow he always manages to find ways to do damage with drops. But against NesTea, I'd say that's probably going to be his biggest challenge yet.
Well, NesTea has actually been chronically supply blocked by MMA's very tactful and precise Overlord sniping, as you can see some of right now. He's just been going to all the normal spots. He's going to pick up these Marines. There he goes. Nice control. But there are a lot of Zerglings here, and if these Banelings get some good hits, NesTea will really get a lot out of this, but unfortunately most of his Banelings exploding on Marauders or just dying before they can do damage. And now MMA actually might take a supply lead here in just a second. 30 Zerglings though in production for NesTea, and that should be more than enough to hold this attack.
Yeah, I would say so, and I would have to imagine we're going to see, run for the Baneling, and he didn't actually lose too many Marines from that. Yeah, I'm sure he's just going to pull back right now, continue to try to drop and put pressure on his opponent. He's really getting NesTea to produce a lot of offensive units, which is really good for him. And
he's trading pretty cost-effectively with them, sometimes making mistakes like we saw here, losing about 5 to 6 Marines unnecessarily there. Yeah. Right now, the worker count is 55 SCVs to 54 drones, so like you were saying, yeah, I mean, that's not normal for being 14 minutes into the game to have even worker count like that, especially when you lost a lot of workers to an attack. So you can really see the effect of how much harassment MMA has put on how many attacking units NesTea has made. And MMA has actually taken a supply lead here.
Well, you don't see that especially against NesTea, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
The king of drones. Another drop to take out an Overlord, picking up the Marines again. This is so good. See, this is why I love to watch MMA play TVZ, because he does all these little things that you don't see a lot of other Terrans do. I mean, who else flies around the map intentionally just sniping so many Overlords?
Yeah, he's actually just using these dropships as Overlord killers. They're the Overlord Hunter drops, and with the Overlord positioning on this map, normally you put them on the high ground, but the Medivacs just ignore that.
And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, where he always finds a way to do damage with his drops. Even if it's not landing behind the mineral line, killing drones, he's supply blocking NesTea's, taking map control, stimming in to try to go after this army, taking out some Banelings.
Yeah, Baneling speed is not done, and NesTea feeling the effects of that here. So many Marines scanning, killing creep tumors as well. Some mutas are out here, but I think NesTea is going to regret making those.
Little bit of miss micro by MMA there, took his attention away for 1 second, lost himself to Banelings, and the mutas are out now, so.
Yeah, the mutas just barely cleaning up there. If MMA had just microed that a little bit better, he actually could have destroyed all of those mutas and won that battle quite convincingly, but as it is, NesTea taking a bit of a supply lead here.
Well, his multitasking is really good, but, you know, there are still limits to everyone. So
exactly.
He had to take his eyes away for that second. Unfortunately, it wasn't the best second to do it, but he's still not doing bad at all. I mean, supply-wise, he's keeping up right with NesTea.
Right, and he still has map control. He just has enough units to control the map still. He did, unfortunately, look at that, chasing down Overlords. He is the Overlord Hunter, man.
He is, man. He's not the Crocodile Hunter. He's the Overlord Hunter. He's going to, like, jump on it and wrestle it to the earth. This is a very grumpy Overlord.
He's going to change his ID to Crikey.
That's what Marines say when you click on him now. They go, Crikey!
Well, you know, he did have map control, but he lost a lot of his medevacs. He's now been able to remake 4 of those. And NesTea is slowly but surely trying to get his creep back out there.
Yeah.
Hasn't been able to secure a 4th base yet. Neither player has, but in this situation, MMA is in a pretty good spot because he's kept NesTea on 3 bases. NesTea has a macro hatchery, which gives him extra production, but he really needs to get another hatchery up.
Yeah, exactly. Both of these guys, you know, more or less at, well, kind of a standstill right now. They're each doing a little bit of damage to each other here and there. Neither one can really expand safely. But like you said, you know, out of the two of them, NesTea really needs it a lot more. Another Overlord bites the dust.
Yeah, and that hatchery is going to have to be canceled. He even loses the drone.
Yep.
But meanwhile, NesTea has a huge flock of mutas going to counterattack, and he's actually going to force a cancel on a command center at the natural here.
Yes, he will. And that command center was actually getting pretty close to being done, too. It was at least halfway, if I remember right.
Yeah, it's about 2/3 done.
Yeah.
And actually, NesTea didn't realize there were a few Marines there, so he ran away with his mutas, so MMA was able to stem and scare him away. And NesTea having to cancel his hatchery, and MMA's command center is getting pretty close to being done. He's going to have a 4th base up before NesTea has a 4th of his own, and this is really scary.
Oh, the army was right outside. And here they come.
Oh, man, he's going to get cornered here.
And a lot of those banelings are going to be target fired down by the siege tank.
Yeah,
MMA was
nice control by MMA. Wow, beautiful splitting. And the siege tank even remains alive.
It's the luckiest siege tank in the world.
14 kills on that siege tank.
Wow.
That was really, I want to say, lucky, to be honest, for MMA. And in fact, he's going to get all of his units away, and the dropships escapes with all of them.
Oh.
And look at that, not losing a single dropship.
Man, MMA is playing as good today as I've ever seen him play. He's definitely on top of his game today. And, you know, I would say NesTea is too, but, you know, for once he's running into someone who's a match for him. And look at that, killing a queen, killing a couple lings there. He's going to lose the drop at some point, but, you know, getting a queen at this stage in the game is really nice. Not bad at all.
Yeah, not bad at all. And in fact, he's moved the entire army of NesTea back in his base so he can push out here and take control of NesTea's side of the map, taking out creep tumors. Mutas are going to come in here, though. There aren't much of an answer for him. Those 2 turrets were the only thing standing in their way, and only a few Marines coming to help. A Thor coming as well, but he's losing so many SCVs.
Yeah, he's going to lose that base, but in the meantime, a nice big push from MMA coming out. There we go. The Thor gets a nice shot off, and the Mutas have to run away. But MMA threatening that 3rd.
This is so tense. I love what NesTea's doing with these counterattacks, but he's going to catch
on siege.
So many of these Marines. The tank's on siege, and look at this. Zerling's running in here surrounding all of the siege tanks, and Banelings are going to clean up the rest, and NesTea may actually take a pretty convincing lead at this point because he now has total control of the map. He's got a larger army, and he can expand wherever he wants.
Well, that was a huge, huge victory for NesTea in this game. He really needed that. Trying to pressure that base again. Mutas coming in as well. If he can get rid of the Marines and the Thor, he'll do okay. Thor's getting some huge hits, though, but it's going to be enough to take out Thor. Yeah.
Oh, just barely has enough. With those Marines coming in, the planetary had 100 hit points left at its scariest moment there, and just a few more shots of the Muse, and that would have been the end of that planetary.
I know. I was talking, too, about that Thor, you know, getting taken up. I was like, wow, those Mutas are actually still clumped up. They're taking so many hits you don't normally see as Zerg attack like that.
Speedbane's running into Marines, and whoa!
Yeah.
Just so much stuff going on at once here. This Thor is the hero Thor. He's done so much damage. Only has 2 kills, though. He hasn't gotten a lot of the credit, but, you know, he's been doing a lot.
He's the unsung hero Thor. He's got a lot of assists. You know, if you could break down a unit statistics and see assists, maybe next patch, who knows, we would see how good that Thor is.
I love how NesTea is going out and finding these little groups of units and killing them, and that's really been the weakness of MMA's play, and NesTea figured it out. He's like, well, you have too many prongs. I'm just going to take each prong and bend it, rip it off.
That fork is suddenly useless, man. Nobody uses forks in Korea, though, so it's okay. MMA's like, I have chopsticks. Those are better for picking things up than a fork ever was.
Like, imagining Ursula versus, like, the guy from The Little Mermaid. King Trident, I guess was just his name. His name was just Trident.
King Triton.
Triton, that's right, yeah. You know, he had a trident, that's what I was thinking.
Trident, yeah.
She's taking those prongs and ripping them. Leenock, maybe the Lean Octopus, but NesTea is the Ursula Zerg.
Ursula Zerg. He's like getting all big. He's like picking up old wooden ships and throwing them around.
Yeah, man.
You know what the prince's name in that movie was?
I don't remember.
It was Eric.
That's right. That's your name.
I know. They named it after me. It was like, I think I was like 3 years old at the time. Like, this kid is going to be awesome. We're going to name our Disney prince after him.
Well, right now,
story.
NesTea has been able to secure that bottom right base. He's finally gotten a fourth. And, you know, his third base is getting kind of low on minerals. His natural is totally mined out. His main is mined out. And MMA needs to take another base as well. So this is a pretty even supply situation. It's kind of like a game of chicken at this point of who's going to take another base first.
Yeah.
And a lot of these mutas being taken out by Marines, NesTea needs to be a little bit more careful with them. His mutas count has fallen a little bit. It's down to 18 now. He had a lot more earlier. A lot of these mutas are on very low health.
Now, MMA just took out the center rocks. I'm not sure why a Terran would want to do that exactly.
Well, I think he wants to be able to break through to that middle base faster, but like you're saying, or like you're suggesting, the Zerg...
Oh, he didn't actually take him down.
Oh!
Ooh.
The Zerg likes to destroy those rocks so he can have more counterattack paths.
Yeah.
Now, the mutas are at +2, NesTea's ground units are at 2-1, +2 being the melee attacks, whereas MMA's ground units are at 3-2, almost 3-3, so he's having superior upgrades here. He's got +1 on his mech as well. Starting to get high-sec auto-tracking for his turrets and planetaries.
Oh, Army needs to run for it for a second there. And that Overlord didn't get the memo, unfortunately.
Yeah, actually supply blocks NesTea at 194.
Wow. And this is only game 1, Wolf.
This is only game 1. Remember, guys, these are all best of 3s.
Yep.
Muta is catching every dropship they see.
They've got eagle eyes, man. Those mutas, they can read newspaper 100 yards away. Oh, some turrets getting taken out by said Mutalisks, and that command center is going to be delayed for a little bit.
Yeah, actually make it taken out here.
Yeah. MMA pushing, taking out some creep tumors, trying to put some pressure on the fourth base of NesTea. If he can take out the fourth, that will be huge.
You know, I feel like part of MMA's problem this game has just been that he hasn't been as patient as he needs to with his siege tanks. And so he's never really able to push forward as much as a Terran would want to in these cases. Every time he unsieges, he does it on creep. NesTea sees it, catches him, he loses a lot of his army, and the battle continues.
Yeah.
A lot of mutas flying into Marines here, though.
And there's just playing a lot of mutas out right now for NesTea, 22 on the map at the moment. And yeah, you know, I want to go back to what you're just saying. You're right. He has been a little bit too aggressive up to this point with his pushes. Seems like he's pushing a little bit slower now. Oh, sending some Marines into the natural, too. That's going to help.
Yeah, he's clearing up a lot of creep tumors, and NesTea has very few left, so he's always going to be fighting off creep, basically right outside his natural. Way too many Marines to engage here. Actually, I don't know, NesTea disagrees, man, but those turrets have high-sec auto-tracking. He's got to be very careful of how he engages it. Catches all those Marines, though, and a siege tank.
Taking a lot of damage there, but he's got so many mutas, he actually is only down to 20 right now. And if NesTea is planning on moving into Hive-Tech, killing that starport would be a great decision. Magic box on the Thor there.
Yeah, Thor being taken out without doing a ton of damage, only getting 2 shots off here. But this attack by MMA is going to be almost impossible to stop for NesTea.
Whoa, uh-oh. It is fight time.
So many banelings, man. I take back what I said about almost impossible to stop.
Wow.
That was actually at least 50 banelings.
Yeah, that was quite a few banelings. There's still 22 out on the field. Muta's still wreaking havoc in the base of MMA.
But the spawning pool falls in the base of NesTea, can no longer make Zerglings, but I don't know if it'll matter because you know what, MMA just doesn't really have an army left anymore.
Well, you know what's interesting is NesTea is making so many banelings now. That's a pretty big investment. He's been losing a lot of them. He used up a lot on those 3 tanks, but they're rolling into the main base, so what can you do?
Yeah, it's not looking very good for MMA. He's just,
you know, though, that's not a lot of mutas. That's a decent amount of Marines. Is he going to be able to clean it up?
He will be able to clean it up.
To kill the Thor, though.
Let me give you guys some numbers now, because this game is actually getting a little bit closer than I thought. Back in the main base of NesTea actually still hasn't dealt with the 3 Marines that are killing his lair.
If those Marines kill his hive right there, I am going to lose my mind.
Yeah, he did clear those up, but that was getting dangerously low. All right, 68 drones of 59 SCVs. Right now for mining bases, there's 2 mining bases for MMA. Both of those bases getting fairly low. NesTea has a pretty fully saturated base. It's got almost all of its minerals left at the bottom right. His 3rd base is getting a little bit low. So both these guys are going to be desperate for minerals soon. Yeah. But I think they're both going to turtle up and not be aggressive at this point in time. And where NesTea has an advantage is that he's got a mobile army with those mutants where he can constantly check to see if MMA is taking another base, whereas if MMA moves out to see if NesTea is taking another base, he may lose his entire army and then lose the game as a result.
Yep, very tenuous situation right now for MMA. NesTea, I would have to imagine, has rebuilt his spawning pool right now. Yeah, he has. He's up to a couple dozen Zerglings, so he did rebuild that, but that did slow him down a little bit. Killing that spawning pool is kind of the breathing room that MMA needed right now. Oh, he did find that base as well, though. All right.
Well, it looks like MMA is actually now fully aware of NesTea's new base, but he doesn't want to push out until he knows exactly where NesTea's army is.
Yeah. Sending out a drop there to try to do yet more damage. As you can see, NesTea doesn't have a whole lot of vision over the map beyond just his half of it.
Yeah, he's lost a ton of creep troopers and hasn't really rebuilt them.
Oh.
That's a lot of Marines to try to engage with mutants. NesTea needs to retreat here. He's actually going to go for this engagement. I'm not sure if he should be doing this, but there are a lot of Banelings here. Nice control and splitting, though, by MMA.
Wow.
MMA actually taking quite a lead here. He's going to actually kill the hatchery as well. Man. Hatchery gets taken out, and another drop going down.
You know, I don't think NesTea actually has a single Mutalisk that has full health right now. They've all taken a lot of damage. Another drop here. This could be the drop that kills the Hive, depending on how fast NesTea responds to it.
The layer is getting quite low, and MMA simming forward here, hitting a lot of the rallied units of NesTea. NesTea taking a lot of hits here.
And meanwhile, in the main base of MMA, NesTea doing a ton of damage with these mutants. Well, you know what?
We may end up having a base trade type of scenario.
Say, yeah, this is getting a little bit crazy right now, Wolf.
Well, the thing is,
he gets the Hive.
Yeah, the lair does fall, and
was that a lair?
Yeah, it was a lair. He never made it into a hive just yet.
All right, maybe I'm hallucinating.
He doesn't have infestation pit yet. But,
that's not good.
Well, you know, it might not matter, man, because there are just so many Marines here. And even though NesTea has that large Mutaforce, he's actually going to try to send it home to defend.
Wow, look at that. Marines protecting the siege tanks. More Marines down at the fourth base.
He's flying over Marines, and looks like NesTea is going to GG here.
Whoa!
Close game.
Wow,
that is only game one.
That is the second game in a row that MMA has beaten NesTea now. It's exciting, man.
It's very exciting.
Wow.
They might be developing a rivalry here.
They might be. Idri's going to have to be put to the back seat. Koreans might want to have rivalries with other Koreans now. You know what? That's so exciting.
That was an exciting game.
Yeah. Wow, that was like a really good TVZ, actually.
Well, I never really knew who was going to take the game because both of them were in a scrappy situation where they needed another base, but they both knew, I just can't take one right now. And so I was getting nervous that we were going to get into a situation where long-distance mining was the primary mining for these guys because, as you guys saw when the attacks were hitting for MMA there at the end, NesTea was long-distance mining. He just needed to, and he just didn't have enough minerals. And MMA just played a little bit more patiently than NesTea did in a lot of cases, I think, in this game. His siege tank control at the beginning was not very good, but he slowly started to just move his siege tanks better, and then his marine splitting in some cases was terrible at the beginning of the game, but at the end of the game, he never missed a split. Did a great job.
You know, that's the interesting thing about watching MMA. That's the thing that's always fascinated me about his TVZ play, is that it almost seems like he enjoys being behind in the mid-game. Because if you notice, nearly any one of his TVZs, just like pick one from any tournament, he'll usually be, you know, a decent amount behind in the mid-game, but then through dropping, through playing really smart, he'll come back and win just like we saw. So game 2 is starting. Let's get inside. It'll be Tal'Darim Alter MMA versus NesTea here on GSL AOL.